Right, Avan, I hope you like the new classroom. Cynthia, are you happy with it? Richard, are you guys happy? So, today's lesson is going to be a bit of history and economics at the same time, right? Because I want you guys to understand how money works so that you don't find yourselves in a mess in this life. So, we are going to go into the history of money laundering. Why am I covering this topic? Because Abana, I know in the streets, go, hey, clean money laundering. And then you can't participate in that conversation because you don't even know what it is. So this is right here to just give you the basics. Right. So what is money laundering? Money laundering is basically the process of disguising illegitimate money to make it appear as if it is coming from a legitimate source. Because the most difficult thing is not to steal. I want to give you an example. It's not the stealing. This is not what is hard. It's not stealing. But where to spend the money when you steal it? There is an African proverb that says that stealing the village drum is not difficult. It's easy. But where to play that drum when you steal it? That's the hard part. So let me give you an example. Let's say you are at home and you are a student, you are a high school student like you are textual, right? And you steal $500, God forbid. You steal $500 from your mother, right? Remember, you earn no money, you have no income. You steal $500 from your mother. Now the money is in your pocket. But how are you going to spend the money without raising eyebrows at home? So what do? What you do is you say, mama, say, I'm now selling sweets. But I'm not selling these sweets at school. I'm selling them in the neighborhood. And then one day, you come back home with, let's say, $100. And you say, you know what happened? When I was in town, I met a very rich man. And he bought 10 sweets for $10 each. So now I have $100. So now, you have found a way of bringing back money into the system as being rightfully yours, and you have justified the means by which this money has come to you. Of course, you will need to come up with other tricks and plans. You will need to find other, because you can't keep saying I have sold sweets for 500, but you come up with other different ways to sort of justify it. So this is the process. This is a position where someone knows they have something, right, that is not rightfully theirs, or that is not legal, but they have to make it appear legal. So this thing called money laundering happens in three main stages. Just three main stages. The first stage is what is known as placement. This is when you are putting the illegal money into the financial system. So this is the first stage. And then layering. With layering now, what you are doing is having multiple transactions, right? To make sure that you hide the origin of the money. Remember, you have stolen from your mother. You don't want your mother to know. So you are doing what they know is layering. And then integration is the final part. This is the part when the money returns to the criminal, but it appears legal, or it appears right to have it. It appears justified. You can actually say, you know what? I went there and I painted their house and they gave me $4,000. Who is going to argue with that? So basically, this is what it is. But I promised you to get into the history. So around the period of 1920 to 1933, right, it became very rampant in America. Because in January 1920, when the USA had the 18th Amendment, right, they entered into a period called the Prohibition, where they were not allowing the sale, the transportation, or the production of alcohol. It was banned. There were several reasons. People were believing, no, it's not good for health. They were also saying it is causing moral decay. They were also saying it's reducing productivity. They were also saying crime rates are being increased. So what was the solution? They said, let us ban alcohol. But you know that anytime when anything is banned, it also creates an avenue of business for other people. So gangsters and gangs, right, started selling alcohol illegally. This was known as bootlegging. Right? Producing and selling alcohol illegally. Now, if you go to the United States nowadays, this can mean anything that is fake produced. For instance, someone releases a movie or an album, and then other people produce, fake copies of the same thing. It's called bootlegging. So the person who was most famous for this is a gangster from Chicago by the name Al Capone. Dangerous guy, this one. So this guy, what he would then do is, now because there is this money being made from alcohol, but it can't be declared that it's coming from alcohol. These guys would put this money into restaurants, they would put it into cash-intensive businesses, laundromats. So some actually argue that the term or the idea of it being money laundering comes from the fact that most of it would be cleaned through the process of this business called laundromats, where people, would take their clothes, take their linen to be washed and all of that, and they would pay. So this is basically what was happening. So Al Capone had this business. So, but the term became popular only around the 1970s. Now, the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime or Criminal Offenses, can't really remember. They claim that between 2% to 5% of the global GDP is laundered every year. This goes to show you how big this this area of crime is. This goes to show you the scale or the magnitude of money laundering. So I have just given you this brief, quick history lesson for you to understand this term. So that will laundering. At least you can jump in here and there and just say, what about 1920? What's popular with 1970? Because basically that's the idea. So someone can just come to you and say, oh, all right, all right, ku Zanzibar, team yebhora. Then in the 4,000. This is just trying to create activity where money will seem to be functioning legally, and yet it is illegal. I think this is enough for you to digest.